First, those nouns that appear to be irregular in their plural, that is, nouns that, like isha, which is a feminine noun, but its plural is nashim, it appears to be masculine. Remember those troublesome nouns we had? Well, what happens to these nouns in the construct is that they continue to appear to be what they're not. In other words, the plural of isha the form looks masculine, nashim, and so it will simply form its construct on the masculine pattern, not on the feminine pattern, even though it's technically a feminine noun. So the rule of thumb is for all these words that appear to be that are marked as a gender that they're not, they follow what they look like. Okay, so if the plural is irregular and it looks masculine, then it forms its construct like a masculine noun. If it looks feminine, it forms its construct like a feminine noun. So nothing really to worry about there. You just follow what it looks like. It behaves normally within its irregularity, I guess is the best way to say it. So no particular case there. Where we do have a new thing to pick up, however, is with segulate nouns. You remember our friends, the segulate nouns. They have this odd pointing and the accentation on the first syllable. And you'll remember that these nouns fall into three categories. The so-called A-class segulates, like melek, the so-called E or I-class segulates, like sefer, or the OU class, like boker. Now you're probably thinking, why do we call melek an A-class when it's pointed with seguls? Well, the fact is that I think we may have mentioned when we were introducing these, that all of these nouns were at an earlier stage in the Hebrew language, the pre-written stage that we have. These were monosyllabic nouns, and they were marked differently. So melek was a monosyllabic noun with a pathak. Its original, or at least earlier form, was malk, M-A-L-K, malk, all one syllable. So this would be a silent schwa, not a vocal schwa. We know that, as you'll see in just a moment. Sefer was originally short I, sipper, and boker, originally a short O, baker. Now when we say all the, which explains why these nouns are accented on the first syllable, because originally that's where the accent was. There was only one syllable. If you only have one syllable, you can only be accented on one syllable. And then as a result of the development of these words later on, they developed this helping vowel in the second position that makes them appear to be two syllables, at least in biblical Hebrew, but they retain their original accent. Now all of this comes into play a bit when we get to the formation of the segulate, at least in the segulate plural. Actually, the segulate of the singular forms of these nouns is very easy. There's nothing to them at all. All that happens to these nouns is that they lose their accent. Remember, in construct chains, the last word in the chain is the word that gets the primary accent. And so what happens to melek, I'm going to put in my kaf there just to indicate that this word is in the construct, even though, as you learned this morning, they don't always have to have this makaf. So what happens in the construct singular is that it loses the accent, but there are no vowels that need to be reduced here. So the king of Israel would simply, would simply be Melech HaYisrael, or Melech Yisrael, no changing in the pointing. The same is true with sefer. There's really no story to be told here. The pointing doesn't change. All that happens is the accent goes away. So a book of a prophet, or a scroll of a prophet, or a document of a prophet, if we want to be most accurate, would be sefer navi. No changing in the pointing at all. And finally, you can predict on the basis of what I've told you so far that the segulate form of boker is boker. So no problems with that, I hope. The only thing that happens is that the accent goes away. In practice, you won't even notice the accent going away because you'll get you'll become so used to seeing these construct chains in Hebrew, you just read them. There's only one way they can really be read, when you get nouns in relationship to one another. You just read the relationship, and you don't even so much worry about the pointing. But in this case, there's no pointing to worry about anyway. However, when we get to the plural, we have a slightly different story. You remember the plurals of singular nouns form just as if they were regular nouns. So there's no apparent connection between the pointing of the absolute plural and the pointing of the absolute singular. They all take the same schwa, pafak combination as normal or other Hebrew words do in the plural. Just like the plural of davar is devarim, the plural of melech is melakim, the plural of sefer, sefarim, the plural of boker, bukarim. These plural pointings bear no relationship to the singular. They simply behave as if they are regular nouns, not singular nouns. That is not the case, however, once we get to the construct. What happens to these nouns in the construct is that they go home to mama. Okay? They go back to their original form, what they were once upon a time. And so what we get here, the construct plural of melech, I'm just going to write the consonants for all of these first, and then focus on the vowels. So we get the same the ending that sere, I'll do it again. The sere hey ending is the same as what we've already learned, so there's nothing new to be learned there. All that we have to do is look at the pointing. And what happens in these cases, as I said, is just simply that it runs home to mama. It goes back to what it was once before. So the construct plural of melech is going to be malke, pafak, schwa combination, going back to what it was once upon a time in its past. The plural of sefer is then going to be sifre, and the plural of boker is going to be short o, bokre. Bokre. So in each case, what's happened here is that this pointing combination has simply reverted back to what it once was at an earlier stage in the development of the language. So the singular plurals are simple. There's nothing to them. They simply lose their accent, but you get no change in the pointing anywhere. And in the plurals, you get the regular construct ending, sere yod, construct ending, and what happens is the original short vowel returns. Most of the time, if you have a double sigil